You're listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast, hosted by Zach Bechtold and Matt Franks. If you'd like to learn more about the Bearded Theologians, you can go online at beardedtheologians.com, where we have past podcasts, blogs, and a couple items for sale. So check us out, beardedtheologians.com. Thank you for listening, and enjoy this week's show.
You're listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast, hosted by Matt Franks
and Zach Bechtold.
So this week on National Bearded Radio, we're going to talk about joy to the world. And what does that mean to you, Mr. Zachary Bechtold?
I didn't know we were on public radio for this podcast. No, it's awesome. I love this time of year. And partly because it's the most reasonable time of year to sing Joy to the World in all of its iterations. But even throughout the Advent season, joy is a huge, just a huge topic, right? It's a huge theme regardless of how we're preaching. Joy is one of those things. And if you do Advent and you lean into the waiting and hope and anticipation, I think it brings out a lot of the hope that Joy to the World holds. And so for me, that's at the very basic level. I love to end. I know Silent Night's always the Christmas Eve, like that's the jam for Christmas Eve, with our candles, and it brings all the feels, and it's great. I love it, but I love to send people out singing Joy to the World, and send them out with both the light of Silent Night, but also the joy that is among us. And so that's kind of what I embody with Joy to the World this season on the very basic level of just that kind of just culmination of anticipation and hope and waiting, all just kind of culminates with Joy to the World.
So in my traditional service worship experience that I always craft, I always end the service with Joy to the World, mostly because I think it's awkward to talk about, like, oh, here's Silent Night, and then what do? Like, do you have to quietly? Like, if I
think
didn't
it's the difference between Christmas Eve and Good Friday.
Yeah.
And how we leave.
So I think if I didn't sing Joy to the World, I'd sing Go Tell It on the Mountain. Those would be the two that I would end the worship experience with, because, like, I think one of the things we've forgotten in talking about this story and talking about, like, the whole story as a whole, is that it's our job to continue that story. It's our job to continue telling that story. There's a reason why, like, this has held up for as long as it has. You won't hear me say 2,000 years, because I believe it's not 2,000 years yet. But I do believe that, like, it's our job, and it doesn't matter if you're a CEO Christian, a committed Christian, or whatever it is, and you find yourself, in a worship experience on Christmas Eve night. The response really is how you tell the story. Like, how are you going to live out the story in your daily life, and why does it matter to you? Because it should. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it definitely matters to me. It's one of my favorite services of the year, especially the way that we do it in our the traditional experience that I offer. I have to leave joyful. I can't leave on a Silent Night because I get really excited about it, and it's not the commercialization of Christmas that gets me excited. It is really truly the fact that I recognize that, God is with us, Emmanuel, and that, to me, gets me excited. Like, I'm even excited thinking about it now. Like, oh my gosh, like, in a few short days, we're gonna have some fun, now talk to me on Monday after 5 services. We'll see how well I'm singing Joy to the World then. But I think that we are called to be bringers of joy, and you've heard me use this acronym, joyfully offering yourself. I think when we joyfully offer ourselves, we can find great joy in the world around us. And so I think that that's a great, healthy challenge to embody and to work through.
Yeah, you're right. I think we forget often that we're the tellers of the story, and we live we live out the hope and grace of Christ every day. But especially on Christmas, we lean into the waiting and the anticipation and the holding off on celebrating the birth of Christ until Christmas, in Christmas Eve. But it's Christmas Eve hits different than any other service. Even Easter, I think Christmas Eve hits different. In here's Very rarely do we quietly announce birth of any kind, right? No matter what the situation is, often those are moments of joy, even amongst the fear and anxiety and all of the things that go along with birth, because that's a lot. We're excited to announce birth, and in each year we have the opportunity to remember and to hold on to the hope that was birthed, and celebrate that once again in wonderful ways. And I think especially for Christmas Eve, it's not the time to leave quietly. It's the time to leave a little rambunctious and excited to go sing joy to the world, to go tell it on the mountain, right? It's I don't know. There's just something about it. I'm with you. It's just different this time of year.
Yeah, and I think that that's the thing that we forget more than anything, that it is supposed to be different.
Mm-hmm.
And that, like, we can go back a couple weeks to the Magnificat,
Mm-hmm.
and that Mary's challenge for the people is to live in God's topsy-turvy, upside down world, where the rich are lowered and the poor are
Mm-hmm.
risen up, and those that are sick are made well, and all those yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we forget that we're called to live into that. And it begins, like, even Jesus's whole story begins that way. And I think that that's definitely something fun to think about and to lean into.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think that'd be my encouragement for everybody, to find all the ways that you can sing joy to the world, or share joy to the world, whatever that means to you. Do it.
Yeah. And with that in mind, Zach and I want to wish you a Merry Christmas, and definitely a Happy New Year. And may God bring blessings to you as we begin this new year together. So for the Bearded Theologians, I'm Matt Franks.
I'm Zach Bechtold. Thanks for checking us out.
Guys, I want you to subscribe and like this video, and push that thumbs up.
Thank you for listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share on all social media outlets. You can check out old episodes and more information at beardedtheologians.com. Thanks for checking us out.